Welcome to the Junto Men's Podcast, where we take a deep dive into all things related to men. We explore how to go from good to great, from high performers, and also aim to provide a shining light if you're experiencing darkness in your life. Grab a pen and paper and enjoy the ride. Welcome back to the Junto Podcast. Today we're here with my man Ray, and he's down from Brizzy for the week doing some speaking gigs, and we thought to get him on today to talk about men, obviously, leadership, fatherhood, culture, and growth.
All the above.
And how they all intertwine. He's a phenomenal guy. He travels around Australia speaking, around the world speaking. Can you say that?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Make me sound good.
Yeah. He's got an amazing story, an amazing journey. So we'll get a little bit into that, but I'm pretty keen to talk about some of those specific topics and raise an expert in leadership and culture. Mostly based around the faith community, but just in life, it's all interrelated, and he's helped me a ton with my growth and my leadership and culture. And we'll get into it. So Ray, welcome, and
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me on.
It's a pleasure.
It's been a minute. It's quite an intro. So I was like, who is this guy? I'd like to meet this Ray guy.
Yeah, it's good for that.
Yeah, a bit of an intro. So married, we're going on to 11 years this year. Yeah, we have 3 beautiful children, all girls.
Yep.
Girl
Dads.
I'm learning so much from them.
Yep.
And learning about myself as well. That segue into growth. I love sport. Anyone who knows me loves sport. I particularly love the sport of volleyball, touch football and basketball.
Yep.
Still play at a pretty high level in volleyball, which is good. As long as these knees allow me to, then I will continue to do so. Love going to the gym, love working out, love being around people in terms of community. As you said, faith community is a big thing for me. I'm a church guy. I've been a church minister since 2012. But then done other things as well. I'm a high school teacher. Done a bit of training with you guys here at Cornerstone, just next door. And I'm a big believer in just growing in other areas of your life, because I think that just adds value to not just yourself, but also you can definitely add value to other people's lives just because of the robust skill sets and experiences that you have. So man, love Mick, love you, mate. Love this podcast. Let's go.
Yeah, nice, man. Well, let's rip into it. We'll start with growth. Like, has there been some particular moments in your life that have, obviously every part of our life leads to growth, particularly if it's a little bit uncomfortable. Has there been some, a couple of key things in your life which you've just gone, wow, that was just super hard, or that just made me who I am, or just led to the most accelerated growth that you've had?
Yeah, I think the best way to put it is I use family, my faith, and fitness. So family, becoming a dad for the first time, that was mind-blowing. I always knew that I wanted to be a dad, and so did Johnny. She was just like, you're going to be a good dad. I'm like, yeah, I am. But once the baby came, I'm like, dang, takes a lot of work. A lot of work. Not just a lot of work in learning how to look after this little child, but then a lot of work in terms of me trying to connect with Shani and seeing what her needs were, and figuring out for me what kind of a dad and what kind of a husband and provider am I going to be. So growth in that aspect was not knowing how to be a dad, and then trying to grow and go, how do I be a better dad? How do I be a better husband? How do I be a better leader and provider for my family? Because up until that point, it's quite internal. It's all about me. It's just me and one other person, but then another little person comes along and all your energy goes into that. So that has been interesting. That has been a really interesting space, because I feel like I've grown so much more since I've had a child. And that's not to eliminate the fact that there's some people that just don't choose not to. But if you do choose to, man, and you definitely understand what that's like, man, goodness. So I think with that, it's been super challenging as well, because obviously, as when you have kids or a child, they don't always necessarily express to you exactly what you need to know for you to look after them. It could be crying, could be, you know, temperament changes, I don't know, whatever it is. But that's been huge. So growth in parenting as a dad, but also as a man, bro, like yeah, just trying to take what I think what a father or leader or a man should be in this situation, and navigating through that in terms of my own insecurities, trying to figure out what kind of a dad my dad was to me. Parts of it I don't want to adopt, but when you say that, you end up becoming the person, that person anyway. But trying to figure out, okay, how do I become the best dad by learning from what other dads are? And that's been huge. And then just our relationship, like Shani and I, again, we've been together since 2007. We got married in 2011. So we've been together for quite a long time. And the thing that I'm learning the most right now is that as our kids are growing, we are also growing in terms of learning new skill sets and learning how to look after our family. And sometimes along the way, our relationship takes a hit, because it's so much of pouring into looking after our kids and making sure, are they fed? Are they clothed? They're going to school. Are they happy? Are they okay? Do they have a robust relationships with their friends? And we're trying to create this experience for them, because we know what they could potentially have. But we can often find ourselves neglecting each other. Like huge, like, we still
you become more of a partnership than a relationship.
It's like being on a sports team. This is the perfect analogy. It's like, mate, we're on the same team. You do your role, I do my role. High five at the end of the game. Sweet, we did it. Nailed it. But then we don't know the person, the actual person. So there's been a lot of learning and unlearning in the 11 years of marriage. But even in the last 8 years of being parents, that's been huge. Like just the other day, so Shani, so I've been away for a little bit just because of my work, and probably I'll share with you a bit later on, but I just messaged her the other day, and I just felt impressed to let her know that, hey, you've been carrying me for the last few months, and I super appreciate that. And I basically said to her, when I get back home, I want to release you from carrying us and go away, have your me time. Like, I didn't know. I thought me time was just like, it's an irresponsible way to go, just hang out by myself. But I now understand being away from home and seeing what she actually does from afar. I'm like, snap. She carries so much. I think as a man, sometimes that's demasculating. I'm the man. I pay the bills. I carry our family. But when you're away and you realize, jeepers, she's the man of the house. Like, she carries so much, not just in the everyday day-to-day running, but she carries so much of our emotional baggage as a family. So she becomes the punching bag a lot of the time, you know, the kids, her own emotions, let alone, well, I always say she's raised 4 kids, including me. I'm the big kids, like, you know, she makes the kids lunches. I'm like, can you make mine too? She's like, no, you're a grown-ass man. Make your own. Oh, okay, fine. But grow family. What do I say? Fitness in terms of like health and well-being or movement. Learning different philosophies of movement and what's the best for me. Still playing sport, but then again, rubbing shoulders with the likes of you, Sam, and others in our coaching community. Ezra, good friend of ours up in Brisbane, who's my coach, online coach, but also face-to-face as well. This learning from others who are way more knowledgeable and going, it's okay to not know that. It's okay to learn from others. It's okay to go, oh, I probably have to rethink what I know about a particular movement or a style of training, or how that makes me feel internally when I do train. And so I'm 38.
38, wow.
38, bro.
And still has the biggest vert of any.
I'm come after you, testing you.
So Ray was the chaplain at the Warriors in the most recent NRL season, and schooled everyone on the vert jump. I've never seen someone jump so far in my life. In real life. In real life.
So with that comes, yeah, like, I guess my own expectations to perform at a high level. And even though I'm not like doing crazy representative duties, being paid high bucks, but for me, I pride myself in looking after my body and still being able to compete at a level where I think for me, it's still trying to earn respect. I don't know why. I don't know where that comes from. It's like, I need to perform so that when I say I'm 30 and people are like, damn, I'm like, yeah, that's right. It's like, where's that ego come from? Like, I don't know. Like, I've played representative sport and I've earned, I've done what I've done and it's great. But for some reason, I'm still, I don't know why, just hold on to that.
Where do you think that ego, whether it's ego or where do you think that attachment to needing that validation comes from?
I reckon a part of it was not fully pursuing, or I don't know, not fully pursuing. Like, I played volleyball for Queensland, and I remember the next few years, I stepped back from pursuing that goal because I thought, oh, well, for me, it sort of connects with my faith thing. Like, I just felt my calling wasn't to go and play volleyball internationally. A few years later, in the I think it was the Beijing Olympics, I saw some guys that I played with on my team in the Olympic team. I'm like, man, it could have been me. It could have been me, but it wasn't. It wasn't what I had sort of was wanting to choose. So now, I still play volleyball, and now social media's around. You can see more volleyball action around the world and different, competitions and tournaments and playing overseas. I'm like, man, there's a part of me that's like, I reckon I could still do it. But I think that validation really comes from, it's almost like I didn't fully go in, but I reckon I can still do it.
Yeah. Masters games. Yeah. It's interesting, like how many people like, and I guess that's for me, that's probably one of the biggest things around fatherhood in particular. And obviously you with your faith, like you can't do it all. There's sacrifices that you have to make along the way. And it's like and you see it a lot of the time with young guys or girls, just kids. And it's like, oh, you could pursue this sporting dream, or you could pursue this career, which is, maybe being an artist or something that's like a little bit obscure, that's not doesn't give you the highest potential for meeting societal expectations of success. And or it's just a harder road, or it's a really small window for you to actually achieve something great. And we just go, well, I'll either sort of push that to the side and I won't pursue it because of whatever reasons, or we consciously should make that choice of, actually my calling is more into the faith community, or my calling is more into something else. I do feel as though we shit on our kids' dreams a little bit, and our own dreams. For me, that's a huge part of, what I did, like Iron Man and stuff like that. It's like, there's nothing special. There's nothing special about me besides I'm me. And like, I'm not especially talented or whatever. I'm not Michael Phelps with these weird genetic things, which makes me a phenomenal athlete. And like, you can go and do these incredible things that people put people up on a pedestal for doing stuff like that. It's like, yeah, cool, good on you. That was awesome. It's like, you can do it too. You can do it too.
Absolutely.
So like maybe talk a little bit about that, like that conscious choice of making that sacrifice and going, you know what, I don't have space in my life for all of this stuff. How do I what's your methodology for making that call?
I think, as you're just sharing, the thing that just stuck out to me was that I disliked the idea that, oh, he used to do this and he no longer can do that. So maybe that's part of an ego trip, or maybe a point to prove. Like, Ray used to play high level volleyball, but that was 19 years ago. So I'm like I'm almost probably just as good as I was 19 years ago. So it's like
arguably better.
Like, I ran, true story. So my daughter, about a week ago, my daughter's had the athletics carnival, and so my daughter 8 and 6. And at the end of the day, they have a parents' race.
Mm.
And so they said, any parents that want to run? And everyone knew, because everyone knows, oh, Ray, he's an athlete, he's an athlete dad. That's
the athlete dad.
You know what I mean? Like there were guys there who were wanting to win. Like you can tell that like they probably don't exercise at all, but they run every year. But I couldn't care less. Like it's like I play sport. I do enough as it is.
Yeah.
But my kids turn around to me and they go, Dad, are you gonna run? I'm like, oh, I don't want to, please. And then they said, oh, if your parent runs, then that's a point to your house, like your team. So I'm like, oh my goodness, all right, I'll run. So then
okay, you twist my arm.
so here's the thing, it's so funny. So 100 meters, I'm like, mate, you can't give us 100 meters. We've got to pull a hamstring or do something and warm up 50. And there's 100 meters is what we do every year.
Yeah.
So I said, sure, whatever. So I line up, and then they had a staff, he was a helper. He was a former student. So he only just graduated the year before. So he's like the youngest by far.
Yeah.
And then there's myself and a few others who are similar age bracket, like late 30s going into our 40s.
Yeah.
And I heard the kids say, because I know him, I played touch football against him, this the former student.
Yeah.
And I heard him say to someone else, is like, Ray's gonna beat me. I'm like, my ego just like went. I'm like, he's already doubting himself. Like it's a good thing, and he thinks that. And I thought to myself, I think I can.
Yeah.
But bang, race starts, and I just leg it. I just gas it. I was like, I'm not even looking at anyone else. I wasn't even like, sometimes you run, you're like, hi, everything, waving to everyone. Like, I'm
full serious.
I'm full throttle, man.
Yeah.
Like, I get to the end, probably like last 10 meters, I back off because I'm just thinking my hamstring's going to pop. No warm up, just boom, straight into a full tilt sprint.
Barefoot as well?
No. I didn't have my shoe. Like they weren't, workplace health and safety.
Oh, of course.
Anyway, so I get to the end, I pull back, and I said, Ray, you beat him. You beat everyone by like 20 meters. Like the kid I beat by just a bit, but everyone else we were left dead behind.
Yeah.
And then I turned around and said, Ray, that was 12.66.
Wow.
I'm like, what?
No warm up.
No warm up.
And you're probably in your thongs.
Yeah. I was wearing that my other shoes over there.
Yeah.
But I guess for me, it's like, no, I can still perform at a high level.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a has-been, was-been. Like, and I think the philosophy, and I think it's a life philosophy as well, like training alongside yourself, Sam, Keegan Smith, Ezra, and all the others who, in that initial coaching crew, is that you can look after yourself and still do well.
Yeah.
Like I hate the idea of the older you get, like you lose all these. Oh, wait till you get old. I'm like, I'm waiting for that. I'm still waiting to slow down.
Yeah.
Like this is the stage where most people tip over and go, I'm done.
Yeah. It does start getting a bit harder. Like there's got some science to prove that it gets a bit harder.
I have to warm up half an hour for a volleyball game where 18-year-olds jump on, bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. But it, like you were saying, it goes to sacrifice. Like what have I had to learn? Like I have to sacrifice and go, I have to put in the hours, sometimes early hours in the morning before my family get up.
Yeah.
And these are the unseen hours that you put in the gym to actually be able to function. For me, my expectation, I was still going to be able to function at a high level, so at any time.
Yeah, I think I still like we're on my 36 now, and I still think I can be better next year than I am this year. I still think I can be better at 40 than I am now. Like strength, fitness. Like for me, it's just putting in a bit of work. It's just how much work you want to put into it. I agree. The premise that you start deteriorate, you do start deteriorating. It's more of a conscious decision that you're letting it go. Like there's too many good examples of guys killing it in their 40s and 50s and 60s to go, oh yeah, like I'm on the has been or I'm long gone. I still think we can improve. I don't know, like I'm still convinced that I can continue to improve, maybe till you're 50 or something like that. And then things do get probably a fair bit harder. But
I retire, put my plaque on the wall, mate.
But then if you just if you just maintain, there's so many guys in the gym that are just like they're still yeah, arms are jacked and they're still ripped and stuff like that. And it's like, man, these guys are just putting in the work because you gain so much. You've got okay, it's like you've got 20 years of training now. You've got 20 years of experience to put behind that now. You don't need to. Yeah, so that all adds up. It doesn't just go. It just doesn't just disappear.
No,
unless you let it disappear. So you just need to maintain.
Yeah, I think as well, Mick, like you were saying before about like what does it mean to sacrifice and be able to do the things you do. Like I think about limiting your choices and in terms of focusing on just a very few things and do it really well. Like for me, it's family. I want to do that very well. There's nothing else. For me, it's my faith in terms of like, hey, am I growing as a spiritual person? Am I helping my family just help them discover the people that I connect with where I share spiritual advice or even just leadership and character building advice?
Yeah.
Like, am I growing in that? And I want to make sure that I'm the very best at that. And that's why I'm here down here in Newcastle. Like I've been invited to speak at a high school and I'm sharing my faith journey, but I'm also sharing life skills and things that I've learned along the way, but I've honed in on that skill. And obviously my fitness or movement, like those are the three things that are really just anchor me and just keep going. So it may look a bit sporadic and Ray's on this and that. It's like, but if you can categorize that, it's like actually Ray's always in the gym because that's the thing that makes him happy. Not makes me happy, but I just enjoy. And that feeds into the other area, the two areas of my life. So between those three things, that's it.
It's flipping your mindset, right? So it's like I get to train.
Yeah.
I don't have to train. I get to train.
I'm so lucky to train.
And I get to have that time to myself, or I get to have that time, and I get to have this opportunity to grow.
Yeah.
That's one thing that we've been working pretty hard on with the coaches in the gym and stuff like that. At Cornerstone is all right. You know, and trying to reiterate that message to the members, like, you get to do something hard today, and you get to grow. Yeah. How lucky! Like embrace the fight, stay in the fight.
Yeah. And you know what? I was just remarking the color of your shirt. Today's Are You Okay Day? Yeah. Happy I shouldn't even say happy Are You Okay? It's actually not a really good day to celebrate in terms of what it actually is. Yeah. Suicide awareness, but I think part of the growth for me is community, and that aligns with one of the three things: my faith community, but it's also my fitness community. Like part of growth is being in these types of communities and adding value, but also being vulnerable to go, I'm actually not doing okay. And I need someone to help me. And that enhances your growth. Well, that is the springboard to other growth areas in your life. You know what I mean? Like I remember when I first came here, still learning at the, just up the road about a course about how to be a fitness trainer. Like, and I remember coming here, you were saying, mate, you already have the goods. You just need to learn the systems. And that's about it. And so being put under that pressure to perform and learn myself, it's like, I have to show up. Didn't help when you and Sam decided to go to Spain. And for those who don't know the story, I'm going to tell you very quickly. This is what church pastors do. They love to tell stories. What? Yeah. So these guys, I'm only here for not even a few months. I don't even remember when it was, but anyway.
Ray's a very trustworthy guy.
Oh yeah. So these guys go, hey, we're gonna leave. I'm gonna go away for a few weeks to Spain. I'm like, cool. They're like, well, you're gonna be in charge of the gym while we're away, which means you're gonna do all the leads, all the stuff, try and get on the phone, promote and whatever. So they give me the keys to the gym, right? They barely know me. Very trustworthy. Give me the keys to the gym. That's your livelihood, right? That's how you're making your money at the moment. And then they say, oh, where are you going to stay? So I actually live like 45, 50 minutes down the road at my in-laws' place. Actually, no, our own place. They said, oh, it's a bit far to drive, like, because we only had one car between me and Shelley and the girls. We had two girls at the time. I said, oh, here's the keys to our car. So they give me the keys to the gym, give me the keys to the car. And then I said, oh, well, you might get tired sometimes after training, all day here, the clients and stuff. You got anywhere to sleep? I was like, oh, it's fine. I'll just drive home. It's fine. They're like, oh, well, here's the keys to our house. So I get the keys to the gym, to the car, and to the house. And I was like, damn, this is a whole nother level of people who actually care about me. like who want me to succeed, like make it so easy to succeed. And it was so easy to succeed. And so I say that story because a part of being in the community, whether it be junto, whether it be 2 or 3 mates, is that's the power of being in these types of community that help you grow, because that's the type of people or community that you should be around. You shouldn't be around people that constantly tear you down or limit your ability to shine. So it's like, so I'm forever grateful. I was talking to Sam just before. So there was a bit of nostalgia coming back here. Just met Monty, he's like, right, this is like when I met Braden. I was like, I have so many amazing memories, and I was reminded. I don't forget this place, but I'm reminded of the places and the people who have helped me grow. So part of what my growth is and where I am now, when people say, man, it's amazing what you do, it's like, you've been part of my journey. You have no idea, the impact that being here has had on my life, and the conversations we've had and the tears we've shared and all that, and the dreams and hopes and visions we have, like that is growth unbeknownst to us. So I think a lot of the times we can neglect and think, oh, this community thing's it's just gym and that's it. So for me, that's my faith community, that's fitness community. And that helps me grow. And and you sacrifice some other relationships just so you can be here.
Yeah. What Ray left out of that story was his I think it was unfortunately, he was someone in your family passed away in New Zealand.
Yeah, my grandma.
I think we're about 2 weeks away from coming back, and Ray's like, just so you know, I've got to go. I've got to go. So we're in Spain or somewhere, and Ray's like, I got to go. I'm like, oh God, what are we going to do here? I think Nicole was helping out.
Yeah. Someone ended up stepping in. It was for the last 2 weeks. And again, it was one of those things like, my grandma passed away, because being a church minister, my family and our faith group, like I helped, organize the whole service. So I was in 2 worlds. I'm like, my goodness, like it's all happening. But I knew that this community was super embracing and loving and caring, to know that, hey, I'm not just tapping out because it's hard. It's like, I'm tapping out because there's a purpose to me going over, and I knew I was going to come back again. So
even in the last week in the Junto community, there's been a couple of guys like, and this is it's fantastic, because the community's not thousands of people and that, but a guy just reached out the other day and he was like, I need some help with a family psychologist, something like that. So a couple of guys sent through a message. Then another guy was like, I need a hand moving some dirt over the weekend, and I was like, I've got a labourer who can who's help out, and just like, it just makes such a difference when you've got a problem or a challenge, and you're like, I don't really know how to resolve this myself. It's so nice to have a community, and that's what you guys have in the faith community, which I think is unreal. Is just is somewhere that you can go, hey, does anyone know someone in this space? Or and yes, we're developing our list of referral partners or whatever, people who we trust, and being able to just go, hey, go and talk to this person, that person, and then it's on you to like, that's such a hard thing for guys. Like, it's like, who do I need to see a psych, or I need to I need a real estate agent or whatever. It's like, trust is just huge, and everyone knows referrals are the best way to help someone. So,
but I think as well,
just go, you go and talk to my mate Ray. He's amazing, and they do it and they have a great experience, and it's like everyone wins.
And I think we need we know we have to normalize these conversations. And I said the thing that we're striving now in our society as men, especially in Junto, is that we want to normalize asking for help. But the other thing I want to say is we need to normalize sharing those stories, meaning, hey, this one time I was stuck and these people came and helped me out. Like, share those stories, not, I was in a pickle, man, and spoke to a few guys. Like, share how it helped you. And I think that's the cool thing as well. It's like, talk about your issues, which is cool. That's what Are You Okay Day is all about. Hey, talk about, are you okay? But I think there could be a better question raised than, are you okay? Like, what happened to you? How can I journey with you? Like, stuff like that. But the thing is then going, because of this, I was able to do, I'm now here. So sharing those stories of how it actually impacted you and helped you. I think for me that's more powerful. That's heaps more powerful just because there's a story behind it. You know.
Yeah, we talked about the other day with your dad and changing how you parent compared to him, and learning the lessons on how he went about things and that sort of thing.
We have a very unique relationship with my dad. My dad and I. He comes from, I'd say, a cultural background, Pacific Islander, Samoa. Come from an upbringing where, again, we never spoke. Like, you were almost seen and not heard. But I never felt that way. Like, obviously, for him, he grew up in Samoa where you don't really talk about your feelings. And again, it's
no sharing.
No sharing. Like, my kids are my kids. Shh. So then for him, and he was a young guy, moved to New Zealand in the Western world now. He's forced to communicate, and he's trying to learn this transition of trying to figure out what it is for him. How does he fit in this world? Is people speaking a different language? And to pick it up, learn new skills, get a job. He's never had a CV before. He's never had a trade or a skill set. And then he marries my mum, and then they have kids. And then he's like, oh, now I've got a parent, and do I parent the same? And so my own memory, my upbringing was really cool. But now I look back and go, and even now to this day, I'm like, I don't have conversations with my dad. It's like we're just in the same room. We love each other. Our presence is cool. But it's just like, always here. I'm like, thanks, Dad. But that's it. That's as far as, like, and anyone who knows me and knows my dad, they can testify this. It's just this unusual, it's like this unspoken thing. But the thing that I crave the most is that I wish that he would speak to me more freely about the things that have happened in his life and the things that he went through, so I can learn. So again, go back to how does it connect to the men speaking out? Like me, for what I do now, people would have no, it's like I didn't have a role model, more or less, to share. I didn't see being vulnerable. There's not, that's not normal. That's not normal for me. So I've had to learn from others, rubbing shoulders like yourself and other awesome people in my life to go, oh, this is how you share. This is what it's supposed to feel like. So I never resented that. I was like, man, that's all he knew. And unfortunately now, like, even when I try and ask him and share with him, oh, this is what I did, or what did you do when you were younger? It was like, oh, yeah, it's good. So I'm like, man, and that's the part I sometimes have resented growing up. Even now, like, I have more of a rapport and conversations with my uncles who my dad's sister's husbands. I had great conversation. Like, just the other week, sorry, I don't know if I'm sidetracking us, but just the other week, my dad's sister and her husband came over, and I remembered that I grew up in their house more than my own house on the weekends. Because all my cousins are all similar age. So in that process, like, I always have awesome conversations with them. So now we're at mum and dad's house. My uncle and auntie are there, and we're sitting down, and I'm having this amazing conversation with my uncle. And I'm thinking to myself, I should shut up, because I kind of feel bad for Dad, because he's like, oh, I didn't know some of the stuff about you.
All this stuff,
So I felt really guilty. Told Shawnee, well, I'm like on our way home, my wife. It's just like, I don't know.
Was this a while ago? Because I remember
just recently.
Oh, because I remember us having a conversation like a couple of years ago.
Years ago.
Around your,
and it's still and it's changed. And obviously with age, with him, he's
because they were living with you.
They were living.
The challenges.
The challenges of that, and now they have their own place, which is cool, which is fine. But our relationship hasn't changed. And I've tried to communicate that. But again,
what have you tried?
Oh, just talk to him in terms of ask questions about what he's done, and I actually share with him. It's like, hey, well, what are some stuff that you learned as a kid? I'm struggling in this, but then I realize at the same time, I'm asking him something that he's probably never experienced before. So it's like this, I don't know if it's a catch-22. It's like, I want to talk to him about
he might have trouble finding the words as well and
Yeah.
articulating.
And I think there's a part of it as well. It's almost like not embarrassed or
Mm,
probably not knowledgeable, because I've had to do all the learning myself.
mm,
And it's almost like it's like a backward step asking him, "Oh, what do you think?" He's probably like, "Oh, well, you study and you should know." And
yeah.
so I'm like, I just want a dad advice.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's not something I'm going to take up,
Yeah.
but I just
Give
want
me
you to
some
share.
perspective.
Just give me perspective. Give me wisdom. I just need that. So I'm sort of, so again, it's like it's not really daddy issues, but it's like it is. It's like now I talk too much.
I remember when you shared that with me, those years ago, and I was like, wow, like Ray's a dude who doesn't have any problems talking to anyone, and he's got such a non-judgmental persona that people like I put you and Sam in the same category. People just share stuff with you without like they don't even know you and it's just like, whoa, you just have this energy that's like tell me your things.
I mean, like there's a sign that
it
comes on my forehead every time people speak to me. It's like you can tell Ray this.
And so like I was like really shocked when you told me that those couple of years ago. I was like, man, this is a dude who has like for me like all the skills to navigate these conversations. Like it gave me, I guess it gives us all a little bit of I don't know, it makes us all feel a little bit better about ourselves if we a bit hopeful. It's like, all right, well, I struggle with that as well. And that's like, oh, cool. Like, so one of the things that would be interesting, like obviously you tried out a bunch of tactics. So I can't remember where I heard it or read it or learned it, but as you have the father and son relationship, when you're younger, you're as the son, you're craving your father's attention. You're craving your father's sort of like, love, essentially. And then there comes a moment in your life where you actually transcend that and your father becomes the needy one. And he's the one that actually just wants to know that he's done a good job.
That's exactly what it is.
And that was like when I heard that, I was like, man, that is like, because we think our fathers are, they are what they are, the good, bad, and the ugly. But I feel it now being a parent, like all you really want to know as a parent is that you did a good job or you did your best. And I said to the guys all the time, like, you're going to stuff your kids up in some way, shape, or form. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. You're going to do, if you're too cuddly, you're going to give them a complex about being needy. If you're too tough and don't give them any love, then you're going to give them a complex about something. It's like if you're somewhere in between, you're probably in the sweet spot. But it's just going to help nurture their character. And if that's the focus is nurturing their being and allowing that to shine, then you kind of, as long as you're doing your best, and that's you can't blame your parents. Well, they most parents are just doing their best. And they're doing their best with what they know. And when you talk about growth, that's where I feel it's my duty as a father to level up who I am, because otherwise I'm the ceiling. I'm the ceiling for their growth. And then they have to rely on someone else to elevate themselves to.
Bro, that's so true.
And
that's so true. Like I think about what you just said. My dad is a man of few words. Like if you ever meet him, I just smile. It's like, hey, Vic, and that's it. That's it. That's the most you probably get out, unless you ask him a question. Oh, you're good. But I think our relationship, because there's this weird unspoken mutual respect, because he was a dude that didn't go past grade 3 or something like that. So back in the islands, he just immediately worked on a plantation. He had other siblings who went to school and done their education, but he was like, well, someone has to look after the land, collect the food, the animals, sell it down at the markets, get money. And then obviously he's the one that moved to New Zealand. So he carried over those that work ethic and moral of like looking after my family, provide. And so when my sister and I were born, that's how he showed his love. Like that's how he showed his parenting. And
how amazing.
And how amazing. And because I've picked up all those things.
Yeah.
I've picked up all, and those are not the things that I wish I could do this better.
Yeah.
Even though I'm wanting the communication part.
Yeah.
But I've learned what it takes to put in the hard yards and sacrifice, move to another country, 2 countries. We ended up being in Australia and work. And there's nothing more that makes them proud than just seeing me do my thing. Like first in my family to go to TAFE and graduate. First in my family to go to university and graduate. I became a church minister, which is in our faith and culture community. That's like, oh my goodness, there's like God and there's the church minister. So if you come across any Pacific Islander church ministers, like you are very well loved.
Yeah.
So that was it. That was his identity because it was like him. It was like family and church, family and church.
Yeah.
So I was super proud of that. And then obviously all my other achievements, playing sport, playing for Queensland volleyball, that was like, it was super proud. And then just most recently, becoming a teacher and then also doing army chaplaincy and then NRL chaplaincy is like blown his mind. It's like, man, even though we haven't spoken, but he got to see the fruit of his labor, which was through me. He didn't live out his dreams through me. That's the one thing I love about Dad. He never said, son, you should be this. You should do this. He just sat back. He's like, if I work hard, give my son the opportunity, he hopes and prays that I make something of that opportunity. So to be where I am now and to do what I do now, I'm now just saying, man, it's a powerful image. I'm just sitting back thinking to myself, if I'm Dad and I'm looking at myself, I'm like, my son's the man. My son's the man. I may never articulate that to my son, but just sit back and go, that's my boy. That's and he tells, my mom says everywhere he goes, he tells everyone. But he doesn't tell. He never tells me. I'm like, Dad, I'm right here. Like, tell me.
Okay, that's a thing. Hey, like that. We're never perfect. We're never going to get it perfect. And like he's giving you those tools and those experiences and whatever. But he's also by not being strong in those other areas, he's given you the opportunity. He's forced you to make those inroads yourself. Which is valuing as well. So it's like, it's there's no good or bad. No, it's just it is what it is.
It is what it is.
And it's up to we just need to let go. I feel like we just all need to let go of this thing about being a perfect parent because you're not going to get it perfect because there's too many different things, and that's why it takes a tribe to raise a family.
Absolutely, and I think as well, like
all those things from other people.
Like I need Shani is based, she's helped me so much. Like she said, you need to release that expectation of your dad because he's not the person that you are wanting him to be. He is the person who he has become. He's giving you everything that he could possibly do. So stop expecting him to have a D&M with me all the time and me looking for, I need just something, because that's why in my position I've had like spiritual mentors, I've had coaches, I've had mates who become mentors and colleagues. Like those are the people that I have to learn from and release that expectation or almost the disappointment of my dad. Like, oh man, I wish I did. I wish he told me more stories about his childhood. I wish he told me, but I need to release him and on myself and almost like forgive myself for that. Which is huge because
Have you written him a letter?
No, I haven't written him a letter. I don't know if I should write it in English because then my sister will have to translate. I have to write it in Samoan. I think, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out how I will communicate eventually to him how much, because he knows because I tell him, it's like, Dad, thank you so much, I appreciate it. And he's like, I need to articulate. I don't know. I need to find another way to say thank you. How much I appreciate.
I've just been reading this book by a guy called John Tyson, who's another man of faith, and he talks about writing your father a letter and telling him about all the good things that he did, and just
I'm going to do that.
As part of
I'm going to do that. I'm going to write a letter. I'm going to write in English, then give it to my sister to translate for. I can write in Samoan, but again, it takes a while to sort of to translate the words. I'm like, I don't know if there's a word for accountability. We're going to make one up. Put it in Google. You type in
Google Translate.
Yeah.
That was like, I was like, man, that's and he tells some stories about how powerful that is, and I can only imagine being a father now, how that would feel for my son or my daughter or anyone in your life really, to actually take the time to write a letter. It might be a half a page, and so it's either you write them a letter telling them about all the good things they did, or write them a letter of forgiveness for the things that they did, and whether you post that or send that or not, just actually expressing that is incredibly powerful. But it tells a couple of really good stories. So that's really cool. So I wanted to really try and talk a little bit briefly on leadership, because you're a bit of a wizard in leadership and culture. But also, I want to lay the foundation with, what do you think it means to be a man today?
Ooh.
Which is a big question.
Big question.
Yeah, what does it mean to be a man?
Can we wind up to that question? Let's talk about leadership.
Okay. Sounds good.
Ask me that, because I think I have something in mind, but I just need to flesh it out in my head.
Yeah, sweet. So even
what does it mean to be a leader?
What does it mean to be a leader?
I read something. I read something. I heard something. I read something somewhere that it was said about a leader, that a leader goes first.
Yep.
A leader goes first, and that was powerful for me. It still is, because a leader often has to be the one that initiates and pioneers things, and is vulnerable in their own insecurities and going, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I have to go first. And it's a real challenge, because I always ask myself the question. I think, and this comes from scripture, from Bible, it says, you walk by faith, not by sight. Meaning, you just have to go and trust that things that you're passionate, that you're fighting for, you're walking towards, the supporting mechanisms will come around and support that. So for me, a leader goes first, and I think I've lived my life up to this date in that space. I'm the first of my first to do this, first to do that, and even in the profession that I had been in,
you've also done you've changed how pastors and ministers go about
100%
do their things, right?
100%. Obviously, when people hear about you're a church minister, they're like priest, and so they have this perspective of what it looks like. For me, I've always said no, there is a better way. And so I have to go first. So which means that, when you say when people translate, oh, you're a pastor or priest, it's like, I've never seen a fitter pastor before. Again, I've changed the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or I care just as much about my community outside the church, which is like a gym community. I invest just as much, probably sometimes even more, because I enjoy it more than I do in my faith community. That's unusual, because we think that the church minister only stays with their parish or their church, which we do. But I'm like, no, we can branch out. Army chaplaincy as well. That's I'm the first in my family to do that. Not because I don't think I'm the first to do it, but I just do it because I know that I'm passionate about it. And obviously with the Warriors gig as well, that was huge. We don't have hours of the day to talk about how that happened, but short story is, first ever chaplain for the New Zealand Warriors, for that club.
Wow.
Ever. And it happened to be here in Australia, not in New Zealand where the team was based. It's you're the first ever. So what does it look like? So I remember doing a strengths assessment or personality assessment. I forgot what it's called. Great leader, right? Remembers everything. But one of the top two things for me in terms of my characteristics of a leader, of just my characteristics, my personality, is I'm an innovator and I'm a pioneer. Those are my top two. And I had eight listed, and it breaks it down. This is my top two by far, head and shoulders. I innovate and I pioneer.
Love that.
And I'm just like, that's me. And I don't know what else to do other than just innovate and pioneer stuff. Not because I want to be the first. I don't want to be like the man on the moon. Look at me. It's I just do it because who else is going to do it?
Well, that's a big part of what I felt about the Junto was, when I've really looked at what I want to do in life is build and create which I think is pretty similar to Innovate and Pioneer. And yeah, I mean, for me, I just looked at it's what's available for men to grow. Where do you go? It's not like there's a few things out there, but it's like actually where do you go to grow and evolve and develop yourself and be supported and all that sort of stuff. And it's like there's nowhere out there. There's literally I've looked, if anyone can tell me, there's not a facility in the world that is dedicated just to supporting men.
It's not a men's shed. That's different. There's heaps of those.
Yeah, there's heaps of men's sheds.
But this is different.
So,
and I think,
and I just went, well, if whatever's happening in the world around managing mental health or physical health, like it's not, the current methodology is not working. So something's got to change. So it's like, well, no one's doing this. I don't know if it's a good idea or not. People seem to think it's a good idea. I think it's kind of a good idea. So let's just do it and see what happens.
Which is great. You're not just building a building. You're not renovating, but you're building people, which is fantastic. I think the third thing that for me, what it means to be a leader, service. Like
massive.
Service, not like as in like you're investing in others just for the sake of you want to help people. Not that type of just like I have to do it because I'm paid to do it. It's like I genuinely care and have a service heart to just serve you and help you. And that stems from my faith background and also my family background as well. Like my family's like, that's it. If you know Polynesian communities, it's always about making sure that everyone's okay and make sure that everyone eats. Make sure you have plenty to eat. You full? Yeah, have some more. I'm like, no, I'm actually full. Roll out of this feast. But then also from a faith and from a biblical perspective, like my role model is this character called Jesus, and in his stories, he's always helping people, serving people with no agenda. And I love that because it's translated into why I do what I do. I just serve people. That's why I pop up at all sorts of community groups and just serving. How can I help? How can I help you? How can I help the people around me? And so, which is interesting because I guess in our society, we're now conditioned to be skeptical of anyone who wants to help. Like what
are you getting out of it?
What are you getting? What's your agenda?
What's your agenda?
Because you can't be that happy to see me. Do you know what I mean? Like you can't seriously be that willing to give up your time, your money, whatever, just to come and help me. I'm like legit 100%. That's a value. That's a value system that I truly believe it's just what I do.
I think for me, one of the core aspects of being a man is to serve. It would be in probably the top three is service. We are here to serve. We are here to serve ourselves first, and we are here to serve our communities. And this is, you might have a different perspective around faith and Jesus and God and lots of stuff. But I guess for me, it's like if I am God, if I'm this being, then I'm here to serve myself. And then be of service to others, and then you can translate that to like, for my partner, my wife, or whatever sort of relationship you're in. I'm here. The masculine is actually here to serve the feminine, not the other way around. And we're not here to tear each other down or anything like that. We're here to serve each other up. We're actually here to serve. So the masculine is here to serve the feminine, and build her up and allow the feminine to express herself. So, which I think is just a beautiful way of framing relationships, and I think that's how many relationships go about it. I think, and for me, that's what the Junto is about. And that's why we made it a charity. And I was talking to a mate the other day. That's why we made it a charity, because categorically at our core, I think men want to serve. We want to be of service. Today, in today's society, a lot of the time we don't know how, because it hasn't necessarily been role modeled for us. And it's also, we feel like, oh yeah, I'm serving my family because I'm working, I'm providing, I'm doing all these things. And it's like, yeah, cool. Like you are being of service to your family. But I feel like there's so many guys that have come to me and sort of wanted to reach out and help with the Junto, because they want to be of service. They want to help serve. They want to help other people. They just don't know the avenues or the ways to get. I've wanted to do it for years. It's like, like you get to every Christmas and I'm like, I just want to go and do some do some things for some homeless people
Yeah.
or whatever. And I was like, far out, like
Yeah.
how do you, but it's like it needs to be easy.
Yeah.
Where do you start? There needs to be some guide rails or some entry points for you to be of service, and that's why I love the Junta and we why we made a charity, just because I think at our core we want men are of service.
Yeah,
we
we want to help.
We want to help.
Everyone wants to help,
and we need to be able to receive that help as well.
And I think a part of it is wanting to help is because you've been helped yourself.
Yeah,
like you know the feeling of when someone has helped you or got you out of a pretty dark place, or even just something general.
Yeah,
someone has helped you along the way. It doesn't matter how insignificant that help may have been, but you're like, I know what it feels like, and I want to do that for someone else. Yeah, we all do.
Yeah, 100%.
So what does it mean to be a man? I think it's the same as what it means to be someone. It means to be a leader.
Yeah.
You know, I think the only other piece that I'd probably add into that is just to be vulnerable. Like, I think, you know, between going first, serving, but then also just how do you, just being vulnerable in terms of being yourself and sharing of yourself and feeling like, you know, you're not being judged.
Yeah.
And I think that vulnerability piece, and I love the, you know, like the work of Brene Brown, and there are many others as well have spoken on this piece, but she's just the more popularized one.
Yeah.
But I think the more we live in that space, I think we can become better men, because the more we can talk about our issues, not just talk about it like, I had a tough day, I had a tough day, let's booze up. Like, no, had a tough day, cool. What next? Is there something we can help? Well, actually, I'm having trouble with my issues with my wife or my partner or my kids. Well, we can organize or maybe walk you through to services that can help you. Like, there's actually help there. You know? So
I think for me, framing vulnerability into authenticity. I think with Brene Brown's books and stuff like that, like the whole vulnerability piece, it's exposing our authenticity. It's allowing us to be more authentic. So and there's vulnerability in that, because it's like, here's, you know, I'm dropping the mask, and I'm dropping this other mask, and the other five behind it, because they just keep popping up. But it's allowing me to be myself, and if you can be confident in being in a space or a container where you can be authentic,
and I think that comes with so for me, when I'm with like my people, like yourself and others, who my mentors, colleagues, good friends, like vulnerability, because people are probably listening going, well, what does vulnerability look like? You talk about, you can be honest and open. It's like, bro, how are you? Like, you know, the tone of the voice, my facial expressions, immediately I'm like, I'm not talking about all the BS that you're going to tell me. I'm just like legitimately piercing through your heart and just going, in your soul, and just going, bros, you good? Like, wife is good? You doing okay? You staying afloat? Like, you're like, well, that's a whole nother level. You know what I mean? Like,
it's like, so are you okay, Daddy? Like, for me, it's always the question, the next 2 or 3 questions behind that, or just the tonality of how you ask that question. It's like, are you okay? Or are you okay? Yeah. Well, I don't know, like, cause you're saying that, but this is what I'm noticing, and then having the courage to actually, like,
this is what I'm noticing. This is what I'm going to call you out on, because I can see it.
And that's a conversation we had in a men's circle the other week, was like, in order to resolve a lot of these issues with men in society is going to require the leaders to stand up and actually have those hard conversations. It's like, you see something that's not I don't want to say not acceptable, but not in the values of what being a man should be. You know, integrity, honesty, all these sort of things. It's like, you know, like that type of behavior is not what I value, and appreciate if you didn't do that. It takes a lot of courage because we don't want to be excluded. We don't want to be excluded from the tribe. And if we express ourselves and be vulnerable in expressing that authenticity of how we feel, if we can't adequately articulate that, and then all of a sudden someone else is not very good at articulating themselves as well, then things escalate really quickly. So, and that's what we sort of talked about, is like, it really requires the leaders who do have the ability to articulate themselves to actually have those confrontational discussions or raise those topics or whatever it is, you know, the men have got to step up. The real men have to step up.
Yeah.
And
100%.
and yeah, be leaders.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's different, obviously different sorts of leaders. There's servant, servant leadership and different sort of styles and that sort of thing. And I think ultimately leaders are here to serve, and how they go about that is different. And everyone can lead in their own unique way. It's just about being like having the confidence, like we talked the other day, having the confidence to be authentic.
Yeah.
That's what leadership is.
Yeah.
It's like the confidence to be yourself and show up and serve.
Yeah.
Author
John Maxwell, and I love reading his stuff on leadership as well. He's a Christian guy, but he does a whole bunch of corporate stuff, and he says, if you have influence, you are a leader. So whether you have influence on one person, doesn't matter. You have influence. You have tapped into a part of someone's life that they will follow and trust you.
Yeah.
So I think again it comes back to what we were saying before: trust, authenticity. That if I can influence one person, that person goes on to influence another person. There's this impact, this ripple effect of you influencing others. So I think we often, when I think about leadership, we think leadership is here.
Yeah.
It's a pedestal, or it's a position. You have to have read tons of books, tons of degrees, tons of influence, build a business, everything's, you know, rosy and great. Yeah, done things to say that, I'm a leader now. But little do we know, leadership is like leveled out.
Leadership is like the foundation.
Round zero.
Lead yourself first.
Lead yourself, and you can lead others.
Yeah.
You can't pour from an empty cup. You know what I mean? You can't.
Yeah. And,
so
and even like that premise of servant leadership, it's like it doesn't have to be. It doesn't mean that you're pouring out into everyone all the time.
And you don't diminish your own. Oh, I'm serving. I'm here to serve you.
Yeah.
Like,
so the way I like to frame it is like, cool. You can't give from an empty cup, and you shouldn't give from a full cup. You should only give from the overflow that comes over your cup. It's like so being who you are in your authenticity. And I know that's a weird word for some people who are listening to this, but being yourself. One of our good friends, Duncan, he sort of talks about this experience that he had, and he was this lady next to him was like freaking out, doing some stuff, and he was just like, he was on his own journey, and he's like, no, I don't need to go and help. I don't need to go and necessarily serve, be of service. I just need to be with myself and be on my journey. And when it all finished, she came up, she said, oh, thank you so much. Whenever I looked over at you, you were just like a brick wall for me. You were just like a rock. You were just present. You were just, and I took so much strength from your ability to sit there and be with whatever you were going through, and whatever I was throwing out was coming straight back at me, and I could deal with that. And and it was like he did nothing to serve her, but he did indirectly
without him knowing it. Going, I'm good with myself.
But
others look to you as a place, as an anchor, as a reference point. And that served the purpose.
And so just by doing you, in your fullest expression and leading yourself, you invariably lead others, and you invariably create that.
So good, man. So good.
So that's probably that's one of the things that I always that I get out of these nutritious conversations that I have with different people is little gems like that I'll just never forget. Things that really resonate with me. So awesome. How much time you got?
5 minutes.
5 minutes. What do you want?
I don't know. Whatever you want to talk about.
I want to touch on faith real quick. Probably something you can talk a lot about. But so Ray invited us down to his church a few years ago, and we had just an amazing experience. And I hadn't probably felt so much love and inclusion in a community before, because my background is not in faith, in the religious sort of circles. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful experience. And like we don't go now or anything like that, which is awesome. But I guess it's more and more as we go through the Junto sort of evolution, and I feel like faith is becoming a bigger part, and it might not be faith in Jesus or God or whatever. There's some element of the universe and of the not knowing and the trust and this word faith doesn't have to be necessarily connected to a religion. but there's something about that word faith which just it's really resonating with me at the moment. And yeah, I don't know, maybe talk to a little bit around what does faith mean to you in both the religious and non-religious thing, if you can separate them, if they are separate, or if they're just
I think like personally for me it is separate because it's two different contexts, but my understanding of faith in the church spiritual realm connected to my faith group informs me and helps me understand faith in the, I would say secular, if that's a better word. And so I think for me, faith, there's attached to it hope. And that's why it resonates.
Hope is
like for you and for me. Like when you think of faith, I could use it interchangeably and go, well, attached to that is hope, because you're hoping that something good is going to happen. You're hoping of something that's better. It's going to change your circumstance. It's going to change your life. And so for me, in a church faith, like faith in a church context, like I know that if I'm going through a tough time, my faith in a greater being who is God, going, okay, I know that things are going to be better, and I just have to have faith in Him that He's going to send people my way or give me insight or wisdom as I'm connected to Him. And in the other space, outside of church, outside of religion, faith is like, man, I have faith that, and I have hope that when I put in the hard work, that this is the outcome. I have faith in people. I'm hoping that because I trust that person that's going to happen. I know it will. I know the people, and I know this situation. But even if it's a hard thing, like for example, the loss of a loved one, like I have faith that it will get better. That I will get, and you're always hopeful. And I think hope is such a powerful word. It's such a powerful, like you just, in the line of work that I'm in especially in Defence Force, and I don't speak on behalf of the Defence Force, but the things that I've learned, that a lot of the helping mechanisms that we have in place to help our members in the Defence Force, a key aspect of that is giving people hope. Not say, oh, it's going to get better, don't worry, your life's going to be amazing. It's like, no, hope that it could, but this is what we do to work towards it being good. And if it gets a bit shady on the way, we can still hope that's going to be better. It's like just throwing it a little bit further, just keep going. Because unbeknownst to you, the more further you go in terms of you're hoping, you're doing the work on your own, with others, getting better, getting stronger, getting wiser. By the time you reach to a point, you're like, oh, was it worth it? You turn around and you're like, damn, look how far I've come. Just because there was hope. There was hope to aim for. So I think for me, hope very strongly attached to faith.
Hope and trust, hey? Like sort of like I feel like they sort of sit under the faith banner. Hope and trust.
I often shared that story when you and Sam came to church, because for me, I was hoping that no religious nut would come and like ruin your experience. There's always that one or two, people in a congregation that come over once they know these are people who are not of faith, they're unchurched. We're gonna run over with some Bible doctrines and indoctrinate them and go, this is thus saith the Lord. And I was praying that like, please no. But none of that happened, and everything that I expected to happen happened, because I trust that I'm bringing you into a community just to give you a glimpse of what it means to be in. And you met young Johnny outside, and then he gets up the front and he does his songs and he gives you a shout out. And then like a lot of the rituals, it's funny because community, it's almost like a ritual. It's a thing that you do on a day-to-day, on a week-to-week basis. So then you and Sam are standing up, sitting down, songs. You're like, who wrote these songs? Like, they're long dead, and offering basket comes out, which is like, the money, and you're like, oh, how much do I throw in? I'm like, bro, just keep your 50, man. Just a 10 will do, but if you want to keep it, all good. But these are the things I was like trying to, for me, I was not panicking. It's like, oh, no, I feel like I have to coach them just so they feel okay. But at the end of that, you was like, man, this is so cool. Like, I can see why you do this on a regular basis. And so, but because of that, like you said, over the years, you've taken those principles and those things and gone, how do we implement that here? How do we implement that in my own family? Like taking those rich experiences and applying it everywhere, not just in one aspect of my life. So I think that's why I do what I do, because my faith informs and empowers me and equips me, there we go, to be able to serve others and bring that everywhere I go. So everywhere I go, I take that with me. Inclusivity, love, authenticity, care, serve.
You have to write some notes.
Got to record it. There you
That's
go.
it, 100%. Beautiful. All right, man. Thank you so much for jumping on today. I know you got to shoot off.
Yes.
And yeah, where can people find you? If they want to get in touch?
Instagram, Ray_Moanga, MOAGA, Instagram. That's where I put them.
Thanks for listening to the Junto Men's podcast. Our mission is to share high-quality information for regular blokes who either want to be better or who might be going through some tough stuff. We really hope you got some value out of listening today. There's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. So if you did get some value out of today, we'd love it if you left us a comment. We read them all, you shared it with a mate, or even gave us a 5-star review. We love getting those. If any of what we have spoken about today was interesting to you and you'd like to know more about what we're about and what we do, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or on our website from the links in the notes. We'll hopefully talk to you soon. Cheers.